This tutorial is shaping a beak opening. I'll give you a basic idea of the difference between a hawk and a falcon's beak opening shape, and I'll show you some simple tools you can use to customize these beak openings and shape them a little bit so the hoods will fit a little bit more comfortably. Before you do anything to our hoods, please review our hood return policy. If you were to take an X-Acto blade and cut on these beak openings, we would not accept them as a return. So, pretty simple tools that you can use to do this, and all you need is a little bit of water, and you can really change the shape of these beak openings without doing much to them. I like to use a Sharpie. Sharpies are round, they have a very smooth surface, and most people have these around the house. They work really well. Ballpoint pen works well also, especially on the smaller hoods with the little beak openings. And this is an acrylic burnishing rod. We sell these in our hood making section. Hood making tools. They're good for blocking hoods, burnishing hoods, and shaping beak openings also. Today I'm going to use the Sharpie and the ballpoint pen. So on our website, this is an FE1197. It's a Ron Rollins style New Millennium Dutch hood. It's exterior sewn. These hoods are meant to fit a wide range of different species of hawks and falcons. So we do a little bit of shaping on the beak openings, but not a lot. We try to keep the beak openings fairly generic so people can customize them to their own bird. And if you look at his beak opening, he's designed his beak opening to tuck the mouth of the bird inside the hood, unlike some of the other popular beak openings today that try to go all the way around the mouth. These beak openings are intended to tuck them inside the hood, so shaping them correctly is kind of important, but it's pretty simple to do. So the main difference that you're going to see in a beak opening as far as a hawk versus a falcon is at the top will be in the cere area of the beak opening. A falcon's cere is wider proportionately to the size of its beak, and a hawk has a narrower cere and a wider gape, a larger mouth opening. So the first thing you want to do is wet the leather a little bit. A Q-tip works well. I like to use my finger. You don't want to over wet the leather. You want just enough moisture to sort of soften the edge a little bit. You're just going to do this in small increments. So if you get it too wet, it'll be too soft, and it'll be hard to control how much you're shaping the beak opening. Also, you don't want to take a spray bottle and spray into these hoods. What can end up happening if you do that is you might deform the eye panel shapes, and it can actually stain the leather if there's too much water inside the hood. So the first thing to do is just take a little bit of water, and you're just going to wet the edges around the beak opening enough to just soften it a bit. You can let it sit for a minute or so, that helps. And then grab the Sharpie. I like to use my finger behind the edge that I'm going to be shaping to control how much I'm pushing it out, and it gives me something to push against so I can make the surface smooth on the inside. Sometimes you'll notice there's an edge on the inside of the beak opening from where it's been skived, and if you push against it like this, it'll flatten that out and smooth it, make it smooth and more comfortable for the bird. So I just use my finger, and you just come in here with the Sharpie, and you're just going to roll it around and flare that edge out somewhat. Same thing, go to the other side. I'm going to use my thumb on this side and just roll the Sharpie in there. You want to control the amount of pressure that you're using so you're not pushing too hard, but you want to push hard enough that you're going to smooth that inner edge. You can also come up to the top of the beak opening and sort of flare it up and out a little bit also, kind of relieve the pressure on the top of the cere. Where this edge comes around, this bottom part right here where it curves around to the corner of the beak opening, you don't want to flare that out too much, because what ends up happening is if you flare that edge too much, the bird can see light coming in from around the corners of its beak. So start with that, just flare those edges and smooth them somewhat. You can kind of see now, instead of having a flat face, we've got more of kind of a curve around the edges of the beak opening. The next thing you want to do on both a hawk and falcon's beak opening is relieve the pressure in the corners of the beak opening. You'll notice on these hoods, the beak openings are a little bit straight across, they're a little bit flat on the bottom. So we want to relieve the pressure underneath the beak and also give them a little bit more room around the throat. So, same thing, we're going to come in here with a little bit of water, just down in the corners, like this, across the bottom. Now, you take the ballpoint pen, the Sharpie's too big to get these corners, and you're just going to come in here, right where it meets, and roll it out, and pull it down and roll it out, roll it around, kind of making it more of a rounded edge. Come over to the other side and do the same thing, kind of come around that corner and pull out of the corner, and you can even pinch that together a little bit. And what that does is it makes this, instead of a really sharp angle where it comes in and comes straight out, it makes it more rounded, more of a rounded angle also, and around the chin strap it makes it come forward a bit. It relieves the pressure under their throat. So that's basically what you would do. Those are the edges, the angles that you're concerned the most with a hawk. For a falcon, you'll still want to shape those same edges in a similar fashion, but what we're going to do for a falcon is concentrate again on the very top of the beak opening and widen it. So you just come in here and a little bit of moisture at the top of the beak opening. I'm going to take the Sharpie, and when you get up, you want to get up in the top, and you want to really emphasize making it wider and kind of square, and pull up and make it wider, a little bit more square. And what you'll notice is that the beak opening will change from kind of a smile shape for a hawk to more of a bell-shaped, kind of a slotted shape, bell shape for a falcon. On these larger hoods, I even like to take my thumb, and you can stick it into the top of the beak opening and push down and pull out. So you get that nice wide flare at the very top of these beak openings. The other thing you notice too is when you push up on that part of the beak opening, it makes the top of these hoods a little bit flatter, which is also more of a falcon shape, a flatter top to their head. So once you have this shaped enough to where you think you're close, let it sit. Let the hood sit for a few minutes, let that leather firm back up, and then try it on the bird. When you shape a beak opening, you're trying to do it in small increments. So you could try this on, and if it wasn't flared enough in one spot, you could go ahead and wet it again and flare it a little bit. If it's too open, if the bird can actually see out of it, it's just as easy to wet it and come back and kind of push it down, push it back, and close up the areas where the bird can see out. If you do it little by little, you should get a beak opening that fits really well, and that'll affect the way the hood goes over the bird's face and over the back of their head, and it'll also affect how they accept a hood the first time.